Alyssan Up. Alyssan Up. Alyssan Up, you advocates. It is episode number 9, and I am your host, Alyssa. I want all of you to check out alyssanup.com. That's ALYSSANUP.com. And there you'll be able to buy merch. You can schedule studio sessions in the Alyssan Up studio space. And if you subscribe, you will be able to get exclusive bonus episodes and bonus interviews with more amazing women making a huge difference in our world today. So I encourage all of you to go to alyssanup.com. It is live, it is ready, and I'm so excited to drop this merch for all of you and have you all wearing Alyssan Up logos across your chest and your forehead and your back. That's gonna be the move. On this episode, we have Isabella Weik telling all of us about the importance of healing and the importance of following your passions. But okay, if someone were to be like, hey, Isabella, what is your personal brand? How do you answer that question? How would you describe your personal brand and the things that matter most to you?
I would say my personal brand is really foundationally healing, actually. Like, I have this firm belief that you can do anything in life and be a healer with it. So you can be an electrician and be a healer. You can be a good friend and a healer. You can do anything, but come from this foundation of being of service and of being a good person. So I think foundationally, that's where I try to come from. And everything from my life springs from that place. I'm also a lot of people know me as someone who really loves the city of Toledo. I love this city. And a lot of people hate on this city, so I love to support it. I'm from Boston, moved here when I was 1, and ever since I came here, I went to school at Toledo School for the Arts downtown, so I got that first taste of being downtown, seeing the arts and the culture scene here, and seeing how much goodness there really is. Yeah. Like really training myself to see what's good around me. And my brand now is to help heal the city of Toledo, specifically downtown. I love the area downtown.
I didn't know that you were a huge fan of Toledo, so maybe I missed that. But now that you say that, though, that makes a lot of sense. Because if you ever want to know what's going on downtown, you can literally just ask Isabel, because she knows all the events. Like, she was just telling me about, like, some flower arrangement event. Like, the niche things that you would never know about. Like, she will know about it. She knows about it. I love that you said healing can be, like, everyone can do that. Like, you can heal and be an electrician. You can heal and be into music and heal and have a corporate job, have a 9-to-5. What is your definition? You kept saying, like, being a healer. What does that really mean to you?
I think being a healer really boils down to, one, loving yourself, and then being able to, from this really solid place of self-love, being able to shine from the inside out to everyone around you. Try to go into situations with the best intent and actually expect the best intent of other people. Yeah. And if people don't have the best intentions, that's not a reflection of you. That's a reflection of them. But moving through the world and with this, it's almost in a way kind of like being connected to something much deeper than just ourselves. Like, I'm really passionate about nature and the connection we as humans have to nature, and that really ties into it too. If you think about a tree, its roots are really deep, and it also heals the oxygen that it produces, and there's all these cycles that happen, but simply the tree being a tree, it's healing the planet. Simply you being you, sharing your gifts and being in connection with your soul's purpose, that's healing the world.
I love that analogy so much. I mean, we were chatting a little bit before this, and like I was telling you also, like, you were like, okay, so what's your goal with Alyssan Up? And I was like, essentially, if we stop judging ourselves, we stop judging others. And if we stop judging others, we can empower ourselves. And if we empower ourselves, we can empower other people. So it's always this like, but it starts with yourself. So I completely agree. Like, where I'm saying empower, you're saying heal. And I feel like they're very similar, because in order to empower, you must heal yourself. And where I say, like, stop judging yourself, you're saying love yourself. And I think our missions, like, are exactly the same. And then you just brought this, like, beautiful, nature analogy to, like, tie it all together and throw her Toledo arts pizzazz beauty onto it. A little Izzy zazz over there. A little sprinkle over here, sprinkle over there. Why do you think this came so naturally for you? Because it just seems like I know you guys can't feel the energy physically, but I'm sure you can feel it with her voice and feel it if you're watching. How did that start? How did that like build up? Because I honestly feel like some people naturally have it, like me and you. We just want to love ourselves so that we can love others. For other people, it doesn't come so naturally. And those are the people we want to empower and invite to this journey. Like, how did it start for you?
One thing that I've really had that's been an asset, to say the very least, is having a mindfulness practice. And what that allows is that it allows for us to drop into ourselves no matter what the outside circumstances are. And so growing up, I grew up with my parents are both the founders of the Buddhist Temple of Toledo. They're the priests there, and yes, as they're doing incredible work for minority religion in the Midwest, particularly in the United States. We're the most religiously diverse nation in the history of the world. The work that they've done is empowering many people. But so I grew up with the foundational teachings of Buddhism and how to meditate. And you do not have to be Buddhist to meditate. But it's really good to be informed about the lineage of where this mindfulness practice comes from.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times Eastern traditions will sometimes be ripped out from the source of what they come from, and then kind of very watered down.
Yeah, like its potency, its impact.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is, meditation is a thousands of years old thing.
Absolutely.
And so having the tools of knowing how to meditate, really using mindfulness practice, not just in my meditation, but actually taking that into my day-to-day life. Like I pride myself on saying I'm a really kick-ass friend, and I'm a great daughter, and I'm a good person in general. I'm not saying that to toot my own horn. I'm saying that because I know that is a core truth. And the mindfulness aspect of it, that's what reinforces it, is that every day I come back to myself over and over and over again. I choose myself. And so I use the meditation practice to work on that self-love. Imagine like you've got a puzzle piece that's a circle, but you're trying to put the circle over a square piece. It's not like you're trying to shove this self-love down your throat. It's like the word self-love doesn't even begin to describe the feeling. And it's such
a mainstream word now, like self-care, self-love, that I feel like it has lost its value a little bit.
Yes.
So I agree, like it's more than just... It's accepting, like, in your circle, square analogy, like, it's accepting, like, dang, my corners aren't sharp. They're round. But I love my round corners. And, like, actually, like, there are going to be places and things and ways that I don't fit into, and I'm okay with that because I love me regardless of my ability to fit into a square piece.
Yeah.
Isabella mentioned something in this interview that I think is really important for people to pause and really think about. Isabella says that you don't have to have a particular profession or a path or a walk of life, an identity, or any of those kinds of things to be healing yourself. You can be actively pursuing your career, actively pursuing a relationship, actively pursuing things, and still be working on yourself. She talks about it being a foundation. She talks about it being part of your core. So if you take the time to ensure that your core is healed and you are constantly creating a better version of yourself, then you're in a good spot. But I think that's a great thought to bring up, to remind all of us that we are not the judges here. We have no right to judge other people for their place, for what they might look like on the outside of their healing journey. Because shoot, this could have been year 7 of sobriety for them and you don't even know. So I encourage everyone to have a little bit of patience, and healing can always be something you focus on. It doesn't have to be day in, day out, and it doesn't mean that it's your whole identity.
So, yeah, and to your point of like, you don't have to be like identify as Buddhist to practice meditation. Like, I am a perfect example. Like, I practice meditation, not daily yet, the power of yet, but I do most days, like, meditate, especially start 2023, new year.
Nice, yes.
But I agree, like, when things do get westernized and, like, go, when you get so many hands touching something and you don't reflect back on the root, to your tree analogy, or the source, I can definitely see how you received a highly potent version of mindfulness and meditation because of the history with your parents.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, literally, I used to go with my parents once a month. Ever since like childhood to probably the age of 9, we would pack up the minivan and we would travel to Boston where their teachers were, and they would do silent retreats, and I was with them. And so we had like our own special like family room at the retreat space, and I grew up immersed in that feeling and in that being able to just drop in. And
how is that as a kid? Like, how is practicing silence and not really like, it's not that you're being silent, it's more that you're like tuning into yourself, I'm assuming.
Yes, absolutely.
So what is a silent retreat? I guess like totally new for me for one, but like what is that?
Yeah, so there are Buddhist silent retreats. There's lots of different types of silent retreats. Again, they don't have to be Buddhist, but my experience has been in the lineage, and there you wake up at the butt crack of dawn, and then you've got meditation time and walking meditation time, meals, rest practice, working practice, and then that cycle basically continues until the evening. And so, I mean, at the young age of like 5 or 6, I wasn't meditating with everyone during the whole time, but I would float in and out. And for meal times, there's a very special way of eating where no one eats until everyone's served, and it's a silent meal, and everyone's on their meditation cushion as they're eating. And so when I was a kid growing up with that, I didn't know anything different, so
right.
I don't have anything necessarily to compare it to. And I think it's also a point is that I'm also an only child. So I did spend a lot of time, like, me, myself, and I anyway.
Right.
But having that time was always just, like, fun family adventure time. You know,
Yeah.
it was as I played with my Barbies and my American Girl dolls, you know, and it was just part of the experience of being a kid with my parents.
Yeah, I can definitely see how that would spark and fuel your independence. You know, like I do see you as a very like independent person. Like she's not afraid. You are not afraid to like go to a party by yourself. Like when you don't, like, you know, you might know people, you might not, it's fine. Like I'm just going to go. I'm here for the vibe. Like I want to meet new people. I think like the first time I met you, I was like, wow, like, because I know like you're younger than me, and I just like I think I'm always constantly impressed.
Oh,
I think like that happens over and over again. Yeah, because I'm just like, you know, just to be your age, because what, you're 22, right? Yeah, to be 22 and have the ideology that you have is really powerful. And to backtrack also on like tooting your own horn. Just a reminder, I've said on this podcast before, but we are here for tooting. Like we're here to hype each other up. And I think it's a beautiful thing. When you know who you are, you can talk about it. Like when you know who you are, like, listen, if someone were to come to me and tell me I'm boring, I'd be like, you don't know me.
Right.
You must have never met me. And I am not going to accept that at all. Like, I think that's really powerful, especially as women, as a group of people. Women being the population where we're often told who to be. Don't dim that. Like here, you can hype that up. We can talk about all the qualities I love of you, and we could just talk about that the whole podcast. Aww. Because how often like do us as women even when do we get to shout about how awesome we are? And you said that you can really practice mindfulness in any venture. What are your ventures right now?
I've been thinking a lot about this. So I just graduated college this past spring in 2022. So it's been about 8 months since I graduated. And my time when I was in school, you said let it rip, so I'm going to let it rip. I was a really kick-ass student leader. Like,
say less.
I was really passionate about student leadership and creating spaces for people to get together.
Yeah.
One of the things I created was called the Greek Unity Service Event. And the whole idea around it is to bring all 4 Greek councils together to do service and to just connect and learn from one another. And so I come from this background of, in college, I was so able to lean into my strengths of social entrepreneurship and create those spaces. And it was the best. I directed the homecoming parade for UT in 2021. Like I loved it.
Those are massively huge projects. Like those are huge projects that make huge impacts. No, you are a kick-ass student leader.
Thank you. And so even now, I still feel the beautiful glow of that fire that I started. Like I've got students in my sorority sisters of mine who are carrying out that
what you started.
Yeah.
The Greek unity.
Yeah. So it's something that was created with such good intention.
Right.
It's still glowing and still doing its beautiful thing.
And I hope it does. I hope it keeps going even after they leave and after them leave.
I love that. So, but ever since I graduated college, I've been able to keep the memory of those moments where I was able to just really step up, and I did a lot of doing. Right. I did a lot. I was a full-time student, and I was doing all these other things.
Right.
And so once I graduated, I said, okay.
I said, okay.
Let me just take a breather.
Right. Because you were go, like
completely
pedal to the floor.
Completely. And I was able to do all of those things and still keep my sanity because of my mindfulness practice for sure. But now I'm in a totally different season. And this season is all about, I started going to therapy in the summer after I graduated.
We love a therapy going queen.
Life-changing.
Life-changing. Yes.
It's just the smallest things. But so I'm in a season not so much of doing and achieving yet.
Yet, the power of yet, yes.
I'm gearing up for it. I'm like working on the foundation of who I am. Yes. So that when that opportunity does come, I am ready to just jump. I'm just ready to run. I'm ready to go for it. Mm-hmm. I have a clear vision of what I do want for myself. Eventually, I'd love to, and this is like 40-year plan, but eventually I see myself being a philanthropist for the city of Toledo and helping entrepreneurs and helping more beautiful spaces exist downtown.
Yeah.
And so looking from that vision and backtracking, no matter what that is, though, I need to be solid in who I am. So I've got such a blessing right now in this time in my life where I can do that work.
Yeah.
So let me freaking just go for it and run for it. So one thing too is I'm really into personal development, and an incredible woman that I met through my adventures in the city is Diana Patton, and I'm taking her Rise Advocates Academy. It's like it's a 8-week course, I believe, and I'm just so in it right now. It's like I can't even think about it as being a timeline. It's just it's a beautiful class.
Yeah.
You know, she's from Toledo. She's got this incredible light about her. And it's all about advocacy and personal development tools that are really just good stuff to have.
Yeah.
And I just hear it over and over again from the people in my cohort where it's like, I wish I had this when I was 22.
And then here you are, 22, being given these tools.
Yeah. And so it's just like I've been given this opportunity to actually not have my foot to the gas so hard. So the work that I'm doing now is so much different than anything I've had the capacity to experience before.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, I feel the most womanly and most grown up that I have in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's turning that dial inward and working on all of this.
Right. I've been saying a quote a lot lately, like in my own personal mantras, saying like, I release so I may retain. So I've been like healing self. So that's what they say though. They say right now, like Geminis, hey Geminis, heal your shit. Heal your stuff so that you're prepared for what is to come. And like I was just at a spiritual shop and she was like, I was like, I'm trying to advance my career, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, honestly, the only way that you can retain is if you release it. So she gave me these crystals that were all about healing.
Beautiful.
And when I really went in there and was asking for like, I'm trying to advance Alyssan Up Podcast, trying to spread the word, trying to spread self-advocacy. And really what she told me was, look inward, fix yourself, and then everything else will just come. Like it just, she says, like ripple effect. And so I feel like it aligns everything. Yeah. Just the messages and the people that have been coming into my life are all saying the same thing. Like advocate for yourself, heal yourself, and the rest will come.
March 31st was International Transgender Day of Visibility. And I want to say thank you to everyone in Kentucky who took the time to go to the state legislations and go to the Capitol and fight against the bill that was unfortunately voted into place. And I want to share my condolences for all of the hurt and pain that might be coming soon because of this bill. You deserved better. You don't deserve any of this. And know that you have allies. Know that you have all of these people who were not part of the LGBTQ community, but showed up because we are allies, because we care. And for everyone who might be scared today, worried about resources, worried about their access to them, I just want to say, I'm sorry. Because there's not much that I can personally do to change that access to that, but I can absolutely extend my emotional support. And unfortunately, there's not much else I can extend there to change the past. But that is why it's really, really important for us to utilize our platforms to voice things that will create positive change. Use your platform to talk about something that makes people feel encouraged and inspired and want to keep going. This depression is cool mindset is really toxic and unfair and not awesome for what we have going. And it also mitigates people who are really struggling with that. So let's just be encouraging, empower other people. Pats on the back, high fives, thumbs up, that's all I want around me all the time. And if you're not given that, we don't need to associate. If you're down to just complain all day, we don't need to hang out. If you need a little uplift dosage, I got you. But don't come over here with sus, negative energy that isn't helpful. There's absolutely times where we can't be positive, but we can definitely be encouraging. We can definitely let people own their power, and we can definitely be a helping hand. Thank you, listeners, for being allies to our LGBTQ friends.
I love what you said about releasing, because when I first graduated, I was like, okay, I'm Enneagram 3, which means I'm the achiever. Like, I love me a good plan. I love me, like, I love I love boss baby. I love getting stuff done. Like, I feel like that's also another part of my personal brand, is that I love being out here and doing things.
Let's go out and do.
Yes.
Hey, meet me outside to go do.
Let's go achieve. And like, but every time I would try, it was like I was trying to, again, that back to the puzzle piece, it's like I was trying to force a square over a circle, and I was just hitting my head against a wall. Yeah. And it was like, it's like I had this white knuckle grip around what I thought I could, control. But as soon as I let go of that grip, and I just said, okay, the season of right now is not me launching directly into the next thing.
Right.
It's pausing and integrating what I've already done in a really solid way. And ever since I did that, and I've just been discovering the different layers of myself.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, especially as Gemini women, it's like we can have two very different ideas, but holding space for all of the aspects of ourselves to be there.
Yes.
That has been the most mind-blowing thing, and the most like grown-up thing I think I've done up until this point, actually, is like being okay with holding, I can love someone and I can want nothing to do with them. And those two things are they're able to just gently be together.
Right.
But I have to create that gentle environment, or else there's always going to be something that can anger, or it can get all jumbled up.
Right.
So allowing the least toxicity possible, just allowing, like, back to that river it's just like clearing it out so that it's just clear water running through.
Right. Just let yourself flow.
Yeah.
Get rid of your blockages.
Yeah.
No contaminations. Get rid of the sources.
Exactly.
And let it flow.
Exactly.
I 1000% agree with your, you don't have to give me details here because it is your personal self journey, but just to kind of convince people, I said convince and I meant it. Convince people to go to therapy. What is something that you wouldn't have gotten if you didn't go?
Oh, absolutely. So I think the first thing is really finding a therapist that you really connect with. Like, I actually see aspects of who I want to be in my therapist. She is also a business coach, an entrepreneur, like co-owner of her space. This is, if you're local in Toledo, I really highly recommend Karuna House. Karuna translates to compassion, and they're just an incredible organization.
I'm going to look up if my insurance covers with them because
they're great.
I am on the search for a therapist locally in Toledo right now.
I cannot.
I was doing virtual from Atlanta when I lived there, and so now I want to get, like, I think in person would be really good for me.
Yeah.
So I want to get in person.
It's really, and it's I understand too, where it's like the virtual, it feels different than being in person.
Yeah.
I don't really have a whole lot to compare it to prior, but one thing that I've really learned in therapy is the validation that our intuitive antennas, particularly as women, are very sharp, actually.
On point.
Like, if we just allow ourselves to really trust the freaking heck out of that antenna, the world would be a vastly different place.
Yes.
But it's always in that gray area, though. It's always in where you can kind of like logically think your way. Oh, I'm sure they didn't really mean that. I don't know. But your gut is telling you that something is off.
Yeah.
One of the most powerful messages that I've gotten from my therapist is like, and I feel it in my cells. It's one thing to hear something, but one thing to like feel it.
Right.
And she's instilled in me this feeling of like, no, trust that feeling.
Trust it.
Trust it completely. And that in combination with, again, letting go of that white knuckle grip on the illusion that I thought I had control over,
Right.
you know? It's like the combination of the two. Ever since then, Alyssa, these amazing people, these amazing physical places, all of these things have just been showing up for me.
Right.
Because my vibration is now higher.
Yeah.
To be able to actually see the goodness that's around me.
You're not suppressing your antenna.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not using your like logic or making excuses for why, or surrounding yourself with people who don't give you the space to use your antenna.
Yes.
Like, we as individuals, we absolutely, I think we can all probably look past at a time where we did suppress our own emotions or do that so much to where we were oppressing other people unintentionally.
Wow.
Yes.
Like,
Like if you are not following yourself, you don't allow space for people around you to do it either.
wow.
When you're sitting there spitting logic, like let's say, hey, I have an issue like with a friend or something, and I come to you and I'm like, oh, I just have a bad feeling. Like I don't know what it is, blah, blah, blah. And you sit here and spit logic at me, you oppressed my antenna.
Yes.
You made me use logic instead of trust my gut because you don't practice trusting your gut. And then so here we are causing these ripple effects of convincing someone to not trust their inner feeling. And it feels so much better to trust your inner feeling and miss out on something than it is to be somewhere or be with someone or be doing something with regret of like, I should have trusted myself.
Absolutely. I mean, and ever since, what's so incredible is that the byproduct of doing that, coming back to yourself like that over and over and over again, is that now the antenna is sensitive.
Yeah.
So now it's to the point where it's like, if something is even a little bit like off for me, I can feel that.
Right.
And I have the internal power to act on that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have this deep, this like unquenchable like desire. Like I can actually just rely on myself.
Mm-hmm. The need for validation, the need for someone to tell you, no, you're right.
Yeah.
And like we've had these conversations where like, oh, thank you. I needed to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we need to hear that? Why do you need to hear your friend or your brother or your sister, or your mom, or your dad, whoever, tell you that you're right?
Yeah.
You already knew. Like you picked out your outfit. I've compliment fished before. We all have. Like, oh, does this look good? Bitch, you know it looks good. Stop playing.
Yeah.
Stop playing and wear your damn outfit and then receive the compliments because you already decided to wear it.
Yes. And that really ties into something I've been really conscious about too, which is choosing whose advice I'm listening to very carefully.
Very carefully.
Because it's like not everyone gets the privilege of being your mentor and pouring into you. That is a privilege. And there should be a boundary there with and here's the thing, another fabulous thing my therapist taught me. You have to look at someone, think about it like a tree. Someone can have the most beautiful leaves ever, like shining, sparkling in the sun.
Flowers.
Exactly, flowers, gorgeous. Trace it back to the root. Because if if the trunk of the tree is sick,
it'll die.
It'll die. And it can be very pretty on the outside, but the inside, there's rot.
Yeah.
And especially just at this time, like we're both in our 20s, like it's just such a foundational time.
Yeah.
That it's like...
We have to be careful.
Question for all of you. Do you think empowerment is important? And do you truly know what empowerment is and why I talk about it so much and why probably in every single episode you probably have heard the word empowerment probably 5 to 15 times every episode? I want to read you guys the literal definition of empowerment. And I bring this up because I talk about it so much, and I kind of forgot the definition of it until the other day when a coworker was like, hey, can you put the definition of empowerment on X, Y, and Z? And I was like, sure. So I look it up and I'm like, hold up. People need to hear this. So listen to this. Empowerment is a noun, by the way. The authority or power given to someone to do something. Okay. But it's also the process of becoming stronger and more confident, especially in controlling one's life and claiming one's rights. I really dare someone to come over here and tell me that's not important. I dare anyone to come to me and tell me that empowering people, empowering others, encouraging people to use the power that's already innately within themselves, but to tap into it, that is absolutely my personal mission and the mission of this podcast, and something I hope others really consider to be the way that we can make change. And I don't see how anyone could hear that definition and be against it. Be against the empowerment of women, be against the empowerment of LGBTQ, empowerment of any patriarchy oppressed individuals, which is quite literally everyone here except white males. So if you're not a white male and you're not an ally, what is the issue? Because empowerment is the move. Empowerment is what we need to be focusing on. And I think that people only have a problem with that when they stole other people's power. You will only be mad about me empowering others if you have power that never belonged to you. So if you've taken someone's power, I ask you to return it. But if you don't, I will steal it back from you and give it to who it belongs to, because it was never yours in the first place. And I encourage everyone to believe in your power because it's strong. I can smell it. I can feel it. It is here. It's within you. And never let anyone steal that from you. You're all powerful. And I hope that Alyssan Up is sending you all of the power back that anyone has stolen from you ever.
And if you make the commitment to yourself, the thing that people have to remember, like when you're on a self-discovery journey, and I'm sure Diana has said that, you have to be willing to change some of your relationships because they're not all going to make it through this choosing self. Like, you will identify your weak links. And that doesn't mean weak as in I'm better than you. I'm choosing myself, and it just seems like the more I do that, we're not clicking anymore.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That has been such a whirlwind. Because you always hear that.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't really see that happening.
Like, I know my friends.
Exactly.
I know my people.
Exactly. Wow. So much. It's like the universe is conspiring to help you with that. It's like when something is not working, it's like that's not working for a reason.
Right.
And again, trusting that antenna and trusting that this bridge is burning and just letting it do its thing.
Because that bridge could burn, and then you guys could meet in a different place. Like, that doesn't mean, like, because, something that someone mentioned to me the other day was this cancel culture that we tend to have when we get in our self journey and we get a little too self-righteous about it. That doesn't mean F you. It's not coming from a place of hate. It's coming from I have changed my expectations.
Yes.
Like, I still love you, to your point. I love you, but we have space. Like, I love you, but I'm not going to come to you for advice because I don't trust it.
Yeah.
You've led me astray before. That doesn't mean we can't go catch a drink, but we're probably going to talk about work and normal stuff. I'm not going to sit here and pour myself in If your cup is literally this big, why am I going to pour to where you're overflowing, but your capacity to pour into me and my cup is this big, I'm only getting this? I'm going to change my cup size when I'm around you.
Yes.
I'm not going to continue to dump and be left empty all the time.
Yes, that's so beautiful. That is
And
so
that doesn't
beautiful.
mean like they're intentionally leaving me empty. Everyone has to be on their own journey. You might change your cup size later, you know. Like, hey, we all have different flows. But like
I love that.
like you might change your cup size later, then maybe later, you know, we'll have the same cup size. That's fine. I'm not exiling you. I'm not like putting up a wall. I'm just it's different now.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, going back to like the healer thing in the beginning, it's like you can be a healing friend who's ending a relationship.
Yeah.
There is a way to either, and there's a wide variety in there that can be completely cutting the person off all the way to like just energetically not giving them as much.
Right.
You know, but there's so much in there. But you, at any stage in that, you can do that with the intention of, I love you. And this is coming from a place of love. And like you said, not just ripping out the plug and cancel call. You know, it's sometimes that is necessary.
Sometimes that is necessary.
Sometimes it's really good.
If someone thinks that you don't deserve basic human rights, probably gonna just cut them.
Yeah.
Or like if someone is continuously not standing with their own morals that they keep communicating and they're not holding true to their word, like probably cut them. But you don't always have to. It doesn't have to be that scary. Yeah. Like you might look around one day on this journey, like with this journey, you might look around one day and feel as if you are alone. But that's only because the new people who are that have the same cup size as you haven't come yet.
Yes. Yeah. And the really big thing that I've been learning, honest to goodness, is just trusting that empty space.
Yes.
Like trusting this cavernous thing that is my future.
Right.
Like actually like looking out and not just seeing all of the things that I don't understand.
Right.
But looking back to see how much goodness there has been and trusting that goodness, because I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day.
I'm working on it. Like, no BS. I'm not, with this life, I'm not kidding around. Like, this life.
You're like, this is the one, guys. This is the one.
Yeah, like, this is finite. Like, actually, like, this bot, like, it's a real thing when you actually feel it.
Yeah.
When I was a child, I was really active. I did a lot of gymnastics, and I did
Me too!
Yes.
Gymnastics queen.
I love it. I did, like, a martial art called Aikido, and I was really active. But then one day I was trying to do my headstand or whatever, and my wrist started to really hurt. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Until finally it's like I couldn't actually get out of bed to go to school.
Oh my gosh.
Couldn't actually, like, it wasn't being lazy or anything. It was like my body couldn't do it.
What age was that?
So I was 8. And then my parents were like, okay, this is something serious.
Yeah.
And so we went to Cleveland Clinic, and the doctor looked at me and goes, she's got to be hospitalized immediately. Turns out I had a really rare autoimmune disorder called mixed connective tissue disease. And that just, it's really rare, and it's a lot of things, but arthritis and all, it's a mixed bag, if you will. It's all jumbled.
It's literally mixed tissue.
Yeah. It's like,
yes.
So my whole life just completely dramatically changed when I was 8 years old.
Like all your priorities, like the things that you imagined every day doing was sports, was activities.
Yes, absolutely. And so it was a really, it was a complete journey for me. I was taking chemo at one point. I was in a wheelchair when I would go to school. Like it was
my gosh, I had no idea that that this happened to you.
It's not a story that I was really ready to share when I was in college. Because once I got to college, I started feeling really good in my body. I was on more of like I was off the chemo and the more harder drugs, and I was doing a lot of I still do it, Eastern medicine. But when I got to college, I was like, all right, let me feel this body. Let me work out. Let me get a personal trainer, learn how to actually be in a gym. I'd never stepped foot in a gym before. And I actually...
Well, makes sense. Why not?
Yeah. And so, but that time of being in the wheelchair and not being able to do things that regular kids do, I had to be homeschooled. That taught me, one, what pain actually is in the body. Like I know that. Pain and I are friends. We are, I know that feeling.
And you learned that at an early age.
Yes. And what it taught me is like this life, I have a sense of calm urgency, passionate urgency. Like when it comes to what I'm here to do and what I'm here to contribute, because it was not always like yes, of course you will be around forever. No.
Right.
Life can change like that.
And I don't know about you guys, but this Libra full moon is definitely calling in a lot of healing, a lot of releasing for me personally. And I want to remind everybody who might have been looking at this year so far and thinking, where did the year go? Like, it's already April and I haven't made progress on my goals as much as I've wanted to. Time's going by really fast. I'm not as energized as I expected to be at this time in the year. I want to remind all of you who are thinking those kinds of things, you are doing a great job. Everything up until this point has only made you stronger and have a better foundation to go run once May comes around. So take this second, pause, reset. It is Q2. And remember that the Lunar New Year only just started in March. And the moon is important because our bodies are 70% water, so is the earth. The moon controls the ocean, that whole vibe. Well, essentially, we just got started. So if you're still crawling, you're still picking up the pieces, you're still getting your goals ready to go, that is okay. If you need help with goal setting, check out my episode with Chandra. We're talking about goal setting a few episodes ago. Check that out. It'll help you a lot in this goal setting era, but don't get discouraged. You're doing great. Alyssan Up is here to support you every step of the way.
Anything. All can be lost, but you can still have your mind. You can still have your heart, So it's really this like being connected to ourselves and alignment and self-love. This is here because I know that I went through what I went through so that I can contribute on a massive scale.
It wasn't for no reason.
No, it was not. And it was what
like
has
this
happened.
Then this happened, then this happened, then this happened, and that's how I'm here today.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Absolutely, yes. It's like our stories are the thing. It's like you can hear, you can look up what advocacy is on Google, no problem.
Right.
But hearing someone's lived experience story of how that advocacy impacted them, hint this podcast, that's where the magic is. So one of the most important ways, and it's been really fun through therapy and also through Diana's class, is to actually go back through, trace it down. And it's not all rainbows and sunshine. Really, it's intense work, which is why I highly recommend mindfulness practice is there in complementary conversation with therapy.
Right.
They complement each other. One time I was doing a mindfulness training and someone asked, is this instead of counseling? No, it's just, it's working the muscle of your concentration so that you can place it into yourself. And then imagine how much better the therapy session will be when you can actually have that awareness going into it. My therapist says, we've been working really hard, and it's true. We've been doing a lot of really intense work, and I think it's because we've been doing these leaps and bounds because of the mindfulness practice that I can bounce from.
Right. And I'm sure, like, I'm imagining, like, your past playing a huge part in, like, you know, when you're sitting in a wheelchair and you're missing out on things, or you feel like you're missing out on things, like, that, I feel like, created a lot of your urgency. I love that you said calm urgency and calm passion, because that's really, like, just because I'm not screaming and shouting about something doesn't mean I'm not sitting here with flames.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
more like a blue flame. It's constant.
Yes.
You know, it's a constant. You talked about glow. Look at all these, like...
I love it. It's all circling back, isn't
everything
it?
is so connected. And, like, I don't know. I just feel like that is so unique. And that is your advocacy story. And you're sharing it today, hint, hint, the podcast. And I can freaking bet that there are people listening to this right now that feel closer to themselves, closer to you, and closer to what their definition of self-advocacy is. We talked about how you want to be a philanthropist. You're all about healing. You're on this self-discovery journey, releasing so that we can retain. We know that life can change in a blink of a moment. What do you want everyone to hear?
I think the main thing I want everyone to hear is the importance of trusting that antenna. Going back to trusting that voice that is so innate and so in us. I am there for you.
Goodness in Toledo and self-love. So follow Isabella Weik. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're on your self-love journey, we just want to both remind you, you will wrestle some feathers. You might piss people off, but you'll love yourself more. And there might be times where someone says you're overly sensitive, or you're this and you're that and you're that. Trust who you are, because when you know who you are, no one can come to you and tell you something else. It just won't matter anymore.
Thank you for listening to episode number 9 with sweet, sweet Isabella and myself, Alyssa. Like I said at the beginning, please check out alyssanup.com. You can listen to full episodes directly on alyssanup.com. You don't have to go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, but you still can. You always can stream on those platforms, but you can absolutely bring it over to alyssanup.com, because we'll have merch. We have options to book studio sessions, bonus interviews, bonus episodes, and who knows, I'm sure I'll be sprinkling in some more things in there. Thanks for listening, and listen up. Alyssan Up.